What is up, YouTube? And today we're going to be talking about some characters you guys should be building for PvP that are completely free to play friendly because they are SR characters. Now, usually when people think of PvP, they usually think of SSRs or even some LD SSRs that are harder to obtain and therefore require a lot of investment because of gold lattices. But I'm here to tell you today that there's some very good SR lower rarity characters that are going to be extremely important to build for your PvP adventures, because not only are they just good, but a lot of them are actually better than some SSRs. So we're going to talk about a select few that I think are worth noting and that you may want to build for your PvP account. So we're actually going to start off with an honorable mention. The first honorable mention of two is going to be Kraken. Now, Kraken is a great character because he really is a good CC'er. He has this AoE freeze, which can also decrease turn meter, and he also has this S1 to apply deep frozen, which is kind of like a freeze that's even better. The only problem with Kraken and his weakness is that he only has one debuff, so this gets countered very heavily by any single dispel. Green Sonia gets rid of this very easily, Ling Luo does with just her S1, and Alicorn also is very good. He also does lack a dispel, but if you bring him with something that can dispel like a Heinrich or something like that, then he can really pop off. He is a good character to build, but I wouldn't really recommend building him right away. He's kind of a character you would build later on once you want to expand your roster, but when you're getting into PvP, you don't want to build him as your first CC character because there's a lot of better ones, and he is, I don't want to say lackluster, but there's better characters that do his job currently, but he is a great like B tier option that you can use for CC comps. Still a solid character, kind of got power crept and kind of fell out of the meta, but he's still great as a CC unit. The next honorable mention is Chiaki. Now, Chiaki is actually used a lot in higher PvP brackets, and she's a very good healer, right? She has really good burst healing, she has very good mitigation with her Origami Guardian, which applies on pretty much all of her skills. She has a single target heal that's very good. She's actually very good to build later on, but similar to Kraken, there's going to be better healers out there that you can build instead of her, and she kind of is like a B tier option that you kind of pick later on. I wouldn't say B tier, honestly, probably like an A tier, but she's not like an S tier character that you want to build right away. But once you start getting into like a Bruiser standard playstyle in PvP, then you're going to want to actually expand and build her. To put this into perspective, I ended top 200 in RTA last season, and I just ended up building her like a couple of days ago. So you can kind of see that you're going to build her a little bit later into your PvP career. But for now, just keep in mind that Red Chiaki, not only is she very good in Aurora and Terramaton and stuff like that, but she's also a very good character in PvP, just not one you want to prioritize too heavily because she does end up being a little bit lattice heavy, but when you do invest in her, she is a great option. Now, starting off in the top 5, keep in mind that these aren't in any particular order really. These 5 are all very good, and it really depends on what you want to play in terms of playstyle. But we're going to start off with Obol today, and Obol is the most frustrating character to play against for me. And the reason why is because he is a CC machine. You run him on Codex, you have your S3, which applies 3 dots and a stun, so that's 4 debuffs total. And the reason why this is so OP is because 4 debuffs is like the sweet spot to being pretty much undispellable. And the reason is because Doki Doki is like the best PvP RTA unit in my opinion, and very strong against control because she can cleanse debuffs, but she can only cleanse 3. So if you get unlucky, you can actually miss cleansing the stun, which is super frustrating. Same thing with stuff like Ling Luo and Sonia, they can't really handle this many debuffs. So because of that, Obol actually is a really frustrating character because there's RNG against him when you want to cleanse. So that's why he's really frustrating to play against. He also has a built-in dispel for 2 buffs, which is insanely strong. And not only does it dispel, but it converts it into buffs, or not buffs, dots. And he also has his S1 that applies dots, which isn't that important. He is super annoying if you're looking to play control and just have your opponent not play the game and not have a good time. Obol is like one of the must builds. If you're not looking to play control, you're probably not going to use him that much. I don't even have him built at all except for PvE. I might end up building him to actually have like an extra pick when I want to punish slower drafts. But for control players, this is like a must build. He's like the best control character in the game, I'd say, even out of all the SSRs. Super frustrating, just very annoying with the amount of debuffs and a must build for control players, and a good character to think about building later on once you build your other characters for different types of playstyles. Next character we're going to talk about is Viper. So Viper is insane in Aurora, also insane in Nikonana, just also insane in Rengokutsu. And the reason is because he's an insane character. He has extremely powerful debuffs in his S3, which also dispels. You're going to notice that a lot of characters that dispel in this game are just very strong. He applies attack down and speed down, so if this lands on any cleave team, you pretty much just lose if you don't have a way to get rid of it, because it reduces your revelation damage and just reduces your damage overall, and you take less turns. On top of that, he has this really broken passive which makes your team take 30% less damage from crits, and he also has a chance to counter when an ally is attacked. And when the ally is crit, the chance increases. So you can kind of see why he's so good. Basically, with his S1 passive as well, when you're at 4 stacks of this, basically you just counterattack with your S3. So he's a very good disruptor against cleave, and he's extremely powerful as a bruiser in certain matchups. For the most part, he's going to be like an anti-cleave unit right now. He kind of fell out of the meta for bruiser versus bruiser, but that doesn't mean he's bad. He still is pretty solid because his silence is super frustrating, his passive is just very good in reducing crit damage, and yeah, he's just a very powerful character. He is pretty much a must build if you're not planning to cleave or take turn 1 yourself, because he is the answer. And you can basically run him as a solo DPS with 3 supports and healers around him, and you can have him solo DPS down cleave while being on a full tank setup. That's how strong he is, that's how annoying his counters are, and he can disrupt very easily when he counters with his S1 because he can silence with it, and if he counters with his S3, well, you pretty much won at that point because you're dispelling all the buffs they put up, like Yeli's crit buff, and you're also reducing a lot of their damage. Another character you guys are definitely going to want to build is Kazuyo the Reverie. Now, Kazuyo the Reverie is a Doki Doki god. You might think that, oh, she's probably just used in control. That is correct because she's used in control, but her kit is just so broken that you can use her in standard gameplay as well. The reason is because, one, she has this AoE sleep, which is great, and this AoE attack down, but the biggest thing is going to be her passive and her S1. She gets turn meter push with CC. It's like the most broken thing in the game. You S3, you turn meter push them back, and you sleep them. So it's really annoying, and on top of that, you will be able to CC single targets for 2 turns. I don't know why this is a 2-turn slumber. It's the most broken thing in the game, and the fact that Jackal Guard doesn't wake up characters when you use your S1, you basically just have her on Jackal Guard, and she can get this speed buff. She does a ton of damage with Jackal Guard because Jackal Guard's damage is honestly overtuned, and you're just solo CCing the entire enemy team. You have permanent speed buff with Jackal Guard, and your Jackal Guard is doing a ton of damage. I pick her all the time to punish slower drafts if they don't have a lot of dispellers, or not dispellers, cleansers, because she can solo CC lockdown teams, and if you pair her with anything that can boost her turn meter at all, you pretty much can't lose if you don't have a way to counter your CC. Now, the one downside is she doesn't have a dispel, so if you run against like bulwark teams, you can find that you struggle. But if you bring like a Holden or something like that, or Mizuki Makoto that have a dispel, you can just dispel with them and then S3 after with what's her name, Kazuyo, and then start the CC pain train and just win the game. So if you guys have fought against the fast Kazuyo that's well built, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, trust me, this character, you will want to max her. You'll max her to help with your Doki Doki runs, and then you'll realize later on that she is one of the most broken characters in the game for PvP, and is also highly contested in like the 4 or 5 spot in RTA because she's mainly used to punish bad drafts, which happen all the time, even in the high ranks. Next up on the list is the one legitimate bruiser that can actually tank down and do a lot of damage. It's Mizuki Makoto, who also got buffed. She was already good before, now she's even better. She has this really hard-hitting AoE S3 that dispels. Surprise, surprise, dispels are OP. Also gives you defense buffs, so she pairs very well with defense scalers such as Holden. And she also has this S2 passive, which makes her start with retaliation, and for every 4 hits taken, she also gets it back. Basically, when she has retaliation, you will just counterattack when you get attacked. And you start the battle with this for 2 turns, and yeah, it's really annoying because you apply Wound. Wound is super strong in the current meta because it stopped you from healing, and her S1, when you counter with it, it hits super hard. 360% of her defense is a super hard hitting skill. You'll see that later on into fights that you'll start like almost 2-shotting people with it, and you also can dispel buffs. She's an amazing counter to the heal meta, and she's also very good into Tiamat. She can pretty much just 1v1 Tiamat down. If Tiamat stays in her ultimate form, it doesn't matter because Mizuki is in retaliation form to counter it, and every time Tiamat AoEs you, which she's forced to do, your Mizuki counters and then hits her and applies wound, so she can't heal, and she's going to eventually kill her. Extremely powerful Bruiser. She is amazing. If you're looking for a good green free-to-play Bruiser, she's like the best free-to-play option, and honestly, I think she's a must build because she's like one of the only, if not the only, SR like tank down Bruiser DPS that you can use, because the ones that are meta right now are like what? Tiamat, Rahu, Holden, Lilith for like the 4 SSRs, and somewhat Lilium. I guess not somewhat. Lilium is really good, trust me. And then somewhat what's his name? Born, right? So they're all SSRs. Mizuki is like the only SR one that you can pick. So for that reason, you definitely want to build her. You're gonna end up using her a lot more than you think. And anytime you fight against a Tiamat or someone that picks Tiamat early and you pick her, you're gonna find that you're automatically in a good spot. And then last but not least, arguably the best SR PvP character, we have Sonia. Now Sonia is super strong if you max her out. The reason is because she can stall out games literally forever. She has this not AoE. AoE revive would be broken. She has this S3 revive that is super powerful because yes, you just revive people. But even if you're not reviving, you can apply this all-powerful protection buff to your team and just stack it. And that will make it so that you just get more max HP. And this is very powerful because you will just scale better into the later stages of the battle when your Etheria effect goes up, and it makes your units a lot harder to kill. She also has insane healing with her S2. Every single turn she'll heal 2 people and also purify 1 debuff. And if she's actually lower, she heals even more. So if you focus her down, it's harder to kill her. Very annoying. And to make matters even worse, she has 30% turn meter push when she S1s. And you have to realize when she S1s, she's still healing. So if you put her on anything that helps her cycle, like Gigabyte, which is like kind of what the meta is shifting to, she just cycles forever, heals forever. Like she heals like twice before an enemy can move, and then it's just very frustrating. And if you don't have like a well-constructed team with good gear, like actually very good gear, you are just going to get run over by any Sonia. She will solo carry Bruisers to the finish line. So I think she's the best SR character to build right now. If you're not playing Cleave and Control, obviously. She is very good on like effect resist builds, health builds, pretty much like every shell that's like suited for supports because she's so strong. And she is going to be your saving grace, especially in the early stages of PvP. I highly recommend using Sonia because a lot of people in the lower ranks, not trying to bash on lower rank players, it's just the nature of the game, don't have as well built characters because they're lacking modules and shells, and Sonia really punishes that because you really have to either control her very well, which is really hard to do, or you have to burst someone on her team, which is also very hard to do because, yeah, of her skill kit. So definitely a must build character, extremely powerful for PvP, and she will be one of the best healers, if not the best healer for Inferno Rengakutsu, which is like the hardest Inferno shell boss right now. So if you're building her, you are still going to be able to get a lot of value. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you guys let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. A lot of these PvP characters are just over-tuned and are going to be very good in PvE. Basically all of them are very strong in PvE, except maybe like Kraken, so you don't really have to worry about them not being that good and waste of investment. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.